we really started during this COVID-19 pandemic where a lot of the institutional seminars have been canceled. And this was a loss because, we like to attend seminars to learn about cutting edge science, to discuss our field with other scientists, but it has really come to a halt during this more work at home scenario. And a lot of other parallel grade effort has started. Most of this has focused on more independent already researchers, more senior researchers already. And we feel really there is a gap for more active discussion and presentation by more first author, more maturing scientists. But we also feel like this communication could go at all levels. So far we have seminars where professors invite students to speak. We have students invite students to speak, and students invite professors to speak. And the whole hope is that anyone can host anyone with the name of Open Box Science that hopefully attracts more audience and provide legitimacy for the speakers to really come and promote their work and share their work with everyone. It only has started 2 months ago, and we have regularly now symposiums with 50 to 100 people, and we believe that it will continue to build up. And so from here, I think I want to hand the speaker to Jerry, who will introduce more about how to become a qualified host for Open Box Science. The hope really is for anyone to invite the author they like to speak about the specific topics. So Jerry, why don't you take on from here?
Hey, thank you, Kwan. Hi, this is Jerry Lin. I'm a postdoc at Mass General Hospital. I hope you can hear me well, because I'm in the lab, so I have to wear a mask, as you can see. So I'm studying the neuroimmunology in the mouse model of Alzheimer's disease. So Open Box Science is really an open and free platform, seminar platform for everyone to participate. And so far, we have 7 symposium focused on genomics, genetics, neuroscience, and immunology. But Open Box Science is not limited to this field. So we are welcome. We really need more hosts and chairs, especially they have passionate in other fields of biology, biomedical sciences to join us. And we can host the symposiums in other fields too. So you may ask why we want to organize an online symposium. There are at least 3 good reasons. So first, you can listen to the new papers firsthand. And in addition to read by yourself, you can hear the most accurate version from the authors. And if you have questions, you can ask during the symposiums, and you might be able to hear some stories behind the scenes. And the second is, no matter you want to do pursue your career in the academia or in the industry, you probably will have the chance, or you might have to organize seminars or workshops or talks. So this will be a great opportunity for everyone to accumulate experience hosting online seminars and talks, and that would look good on your CV too, because you can put a line saying you are a chair for blah 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 symposium. Also, hosting a symposium will allow you to network with like-minded scientists. You'll be connected on LinkedIn or Twitter, and those people might be helpful in the future in your career. Either they will help you finding a job or help you recruit more talented members to your group. So I can list other advantages, but overall, I think it's good for the hosts, it's good for the speakers, and also good for the participants. Okay, I hope you are convinced, but some people might think this will be a difficult project, but actually it's quite simple. And to begin with, it would be better to find a co-host, someone who can work with you. You can look for a co-host from your friends or you can ask us. We can find someone to pair with you. So with 2 people, everything will be simple and less stress. Once you have a partner, you just have to follow 4 simple and straightforward steps: invite, prepare, promote, and host. And now I would elaborate on one of these 4 steps. So first, invitation. So send an invitation to the authors, probably either first authors or last authors of the recently published papers that really interest you. We have email templates available for you can start with. And the goal is to invite 3 speakers for 1 symposium, but 2 presenters will be sufficient, 4 will be okay too. Once you have the candidates, and the next thing to do is schedule the symposium. You need to find the time that works for you and all the speakers. So you may have to consider speakers' time zones. Some people might located in the west coast of the States, and some speakers might be in Europe or even Asia. Ideally, a symposium should not longer than 2 hours. So before 2 hours, I think is a good time before people getting too tired. So the next step is prepare for the symposium. So the host would introduce the speakers. So it's important to collect the speaker information as well as the headshots from them. Those information are not only useful when you introduce the speakers, but also important for making templates, flyer templates. So Open Box Science will provide the event flyer templates for you, and also create a Zoom link for the symposium. So what the flyer look like? So we have 2 examples. So these are our next 2 symposiums. So the first one will take place on September 16th, and it's focused on genome AD, a catalog of human variants. So in one flyer, you have dates, a symposium title, dates, time, and the speaker information, their name, affiliation, title, and the papers. And also we put photos for each speaker. And the moderator's name will be listed on the top of the flyer. And this is another upcoming event that focus on the function and heterogeneity of astrocytes that will take place 2 weeks from now, September 22nd. And in this symposium, we have 4 speakers and hosted by 2 postdoc fellows. Okay, so this is the 2 examples of the flyers. So we provide a template for you, but not just the event flyer, but we also have flyers that highlight each of the speakers. This one is Yemi is a speaker in the symposium in July. In addition to speaker highlights, we will also give credit to the host and moderators. Yeah. So Daniel was the moderator for a symposium in August. We'll release this flyers a week before the symposium. Okay, so you have this flyers made, and now it's time to promote the event, to make it public, to try to attract as many people as possible. So Open Box Science will promote this, the symposiums on our Facebook and Twitter, and also we'll send this information to those who join our mailing list. And what the hosts need to do is to promote these events in their institutions and communities. Ask friends or other relevant groups to share would be a great idea. And please also reshare the social posts that are released by OpenBox Science. Okay, and then it will be the show time. So it's time to host the symposium. So OpenBox Science will record the meetings, take screenshots, and maintain the meeting order. And the hosts or the chair of the symposiums will need to introduce OpenBox Science and encourage more people to be a speaker or a chair for a symposium. And then what the host to do is introduce the speakers and ask questions. So usually we have a lot of questions during the symposium. So I think one benefit of being a moderator is that you have the chance to ask your questions first. Okay, and then after symposium, you can send a thank you note and keep the relationship going. And if you enjoy the process and you found more interesting papers, you're more than welcome to start preparing for your next symposium. While OpenBox Science will upload the videos, the talk videos to our YouTube channel and post screenshots on our Facebook and Twitter to thank all the speakers and the moderators. Okay, so I just mentioned these 4 steps, and then OpenBox Science will provide the templates for almost every important step. We have email templates, flyer templates, and all these materials are stored, saved in a folder for symposium hosts on Google Drive. And this folder will include this presentation. So if you forget the steps, you can go back and check each step one by one. And we have the email templates. We have a checklist for the host. So it will remind you what you need to do at each stage. And also we have a symposium folder for each event. So within this folder, there are flyer templates and Zoom background templates. Once, if you get the information from the speakers, like the headshots or CVs, you can also put into this folder. So this would be, I guess, all the information will be in this folder, and it'll be very helpful for you for hosting an event. Okay, so I hope you found this process interesting and easy enough to do. So we have everything available for the host, even you don't have any experiences organizing a symposium. So we have everything available in the host folder. I just need to follow 4 simple steps: invite, prepare, promote, and host. So I believe you will be very successful organizers and have a great symposium. Okay, so that's it. And please let us know if you have any questions or any comments.
Thank you, Jerry. So yeah, everyone can open up because we have a relatively tight group here, and feel free to ask any question. We will definitely share the Google Drive with everyone. But if everyone wants to open up and ask questions, please feel free.
Hey, I had a question. I was wondering what you thought of bioRxiv articles. I feel like they'd be interesting to present, but I was just wondering if what you guys thought on that.
Yeah, so far we haven't had bioRxiv papers. I think there might be a little more controversy that being not peer reviewed completely yet, and also depending on the speaker's will and the lab's will to reveal how much they have done. You know, because we almost always invite just one author, so that I think for published articles, obviously authors will have no trouble sharing the information. For unpublished work, it might depend on the other authors. Given that I think the authors agree and the hosts agree, I think we will just mark it as a bioRxiv specifically on the symposium, and I think that's okay because we've actually been in touch with the bioarchive fellow at ASAP Bio Fellows, who are this group of NGO that promotes bioarchive, and they have 35 fellows that are interested in discussing exclusively their preprints. So if you definitely find authors who are willing to do so, and you find like 2 or 3 authors you want to put a symposium together on the preprints, I think we can make it happen by, labeling in a different way so that the audience knows.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, sounds good. Thanks.
Hi, I have a question. Do you guys also have a form of a sort of a consent to get the author to, if you wanted to record it in the sections and or screenshot some of the PowerPoints that I prepared?
Yes, we asked. We will mention that in our invitation email at the beginning. We will say that we will record your talk and we'll put it on our YouTube channel. So, of course, we will get a consent before we put the video public.
And so far, everyone who has agreed to present have said yes. So,
yeah. And then another reason is all these papers are published. So I guess they would be happy to allow more people to see their presentations and papers too.
But yeah, I'm sure you'll, if anything, I don't know.
Yes, regarding with that last question, so last symposium, one of the authors actually presented some of the unpublished data. So it seems like it's like the responsibility of the host, as you supposedly read the paper, you know which part of the talk is actually published and which is not, and then it's your responsibility just to edit the video, send it to the PI, and the PI will be okay. It's okay to be uploaded on YouTube, and then we proceed with the uploading the video on YouTube.
Okay, any other questions or thoughts?
Yeah, I actually have a question. My name is Juan. I was approached by Eugenio actually because we published a paper recently and we had like a journal club. So he mentioned this idea to have a symposium. So I guess my question is, because I have some connections with people in the type 2 immunity field that have published recently. So we're thinking, because I have good relationship with one of the PIs. So I guess my question is, in these symposiums, are you guys okay with the format of having not like a keynote speaker, but like a PI and other first author papers? Like, because usually the first author is not really the PI. But I have good relationship with her. She just published like 2 months before ours came out. And she's really nice, and she gives amazing talks. So I'm pretty sure I can get her to give a seminar. And Eugenio was like, yeah, we can, present your work, present hers and somebody else, but we might need to find like another host. I don't particularly like the idea of presenting and hosting. I think it's kind of like weird. So I guess the question is, are you guys okay with having like a PI and first authors?
Definitely, and I think we actually had multiple symposiums that had PIs before. So I guess that's the first question. I think the last symposium Eugenio hosted has a PI, has multiple PIs, and
3 PIs, yeah.
Yeah, and then in the beginning we have quite some with the PI. I personally am in charge of organizing a seminar at Mount Sinai, which is for inviting PI. So I try, but they are very open to letting me open it up to everyone. So we group them together too. So definitely okay. I obviously I think there's different pros and cons, right? Like the PIs probably will give more high level views, but then I think the other thing is trying to fill the gap of, I feel there's a lot of already very mature scientists who are very really have the credit of promoting their own work, and the people only get to promote so much work, and only the most senior people get invited everywhere. So I think especially if you're at a stage where you are maturing in your career, you're trying to find jobs, or you are finding your first employee, that's like the stage actually that will benefit the most from a form. So that's why we really encourage letting the first author. So definitely PI is okay, but encourage first authors. And the second question you said, I agree that it's probably going to be a little tricky if you present and host at the same time. We have a small potential audience of potential hosts here. But as you can see, we have a lot of symposium already co-hosted by different people that within our social circle. So if it's hard for you to find a host within your institutions, we can always try to pair people up. And it's pretty fun to pair people up because everyone's on Zoom. So you can have co-hosts, from Mexico, one co-host from Taipei, one co-host from like Egypt, anywhere, right? So I think that actually is pretty great because we really are breaking the boundaries of the traditional journal clubs.
So along the hosting lines, so in the previous one, the one last Friday or 2 Fridays ago, the T follicular helper, I saw that there was some issue with how can I say, with people just jumping in and doing inappropriate things. Like that seems to be a more and more frequent thing. So I guess my question is there any way, have you guys considered taking some action to kind of prevent that? For example, I think JBC, they have these online seminars and they only allow the presenters to share stuff. Or the global immunotalks, I think they have, I don't know how they do it, but they do it differently. Just to avoid that, because it's kind of like weird when that happens. And I have the feeling it's just gonna keep happening, right? Like, people just popping in and
yeah, we'll definitely do that. We'll work on that. We were trying to strive a balance between letting people open up and not. But I think as we get more structured, and that's why I think for now, if you are co-hosting a symposium, we'll provide a link. We are still debating internally, like what is the right level of security versus opening up. For example, initially we have implemented like the waiting rooms and such, but then it become very hectic for co-hosts to having to let people in. And then also if you don't allow share, we can potentially only allow share towards the end when people ask questions to allow people to open up. But we work on that, and we will try to make it as streamlined as possible. Or at least initially, if you become the initial co-host, you can focus on the scientific part of introducing the speakers and interacting with the speakers. And we'll try to make sure, at least for the initial ones you host, there's going to be at least one experienced person to help you on that aspect of logistic and making sure things run smoothly.
And so far, the platform we're using is the free version of Zoom meeting. We could consider upgrading to Zoom webinar, which will allow us to have a better control of the audience, but that will cost some money, but we can consider using a better version of Zoom, of course. But in the past few symposiums, we have an so-called IT guy that monitoring all the audience and the chat box. So we'll try to resolve those problems as early as possible.
Right. Thanks.
Yeah, that goes that's a great question, because that alludes to a little more long-term goal we're thinking of. So, initially, at least for now, I think at least between me, Jerry, and Eugenio, one of us will be there and make sure things go okay for you guys. But we really hope, with this group and maybe some of the other co-hosts who have been co-hosting with us, we will get more dedicated people. Say, you feel like this year you have really matured as a postdoc, you're almost going on the job market, you want to do more networking. or you're in the late stage of a PhD or whatever stage you're in, we're really hoping to have people that, you know, become so experienced that you are comfortable playing the role of being the co-host for someone who focus on the other aspect. And that person will probably be called, like, you know, the division. Say there might be people who are more, it might feel like, I guess Brian's here, like computational genomics division chair for the open box science for like a year or half a year, and hand that torch on before the next person become trained. Really hope that, you know, this will be a continuous process, because, you know, at a later stage, once you become independent, you're running your own lab, you might not have as much time, and you might not have as much need to network and promote your own work as much. But I think there are critical stages where people can really take on leadership and will really benefit a lot. Yeah, I think even now, having come into my independent position for a couple of years, you realize how important the network, especially in your subfield, is, and the benefit is really, really large. Yeah.
And our schedule is flexible, so it's not happening every week or every month, and you have to find speakers or host a symposium at a given date and time. So if you're busy this month, you may skip this time and host a symposium next time. So it shouldn't put too much pressure on the organizers. And even though we have organizers in, for example, immunology field, but we would like to have more people if possible, because immunology is a big field with multiple sub areas, and each of the organizers might be interested in different cell types or disease. So it'd be great if we can have, we would like to have new experts in new fields, but also if you have the same interests as the current organizers, you're still welcome to join.
I also have a question. How do you feel about, like, instead of presenting like a one paper from like a first author, if somebody is interested in, like, in reviewing like several published work related to their subfield, and more of like a theme talk? Yeah, what do you feel about if that is also like a trainee, and would like to have a more discussion and initiate like new project, or more so on like a brainstorming type of the gathering?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. So we start with the classical journal clubs style seminars. So one person present his or her papers, but but everything's evolving. So of course we could think of other new type of seminars that include more papers. So one of the symposium, the upcoming symposium, the one on September 22nd, a speaker actually presented his two recent papers, because they are related with each other. So he will present both of them at the same time. So yeah, and then we try to put similar papers of similar topics in one symposium. So to some degree, it will feel like a mini review of this field, I hope.
Yeah, I just I thinking of it. I'm just curious, would that be any of like a issue if that is you reviewing not your papers, like several other people's paper?
Right. Yeah. So it would be great if it's the authors would present their own work. That would be ideal situation. Yeah. So
Yeah,
we still have to think about that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think Eugenio also founded this public journal club that does introduction to the field and kind of like, I think, mini review of more papers. one of the initial reason for us to do this was also because the traditional journal club has this caveat that, you know, if you're at one institution, let's say you are in Virginia, you're discussing someone's work in Tokyo, and you're kind of guessing what they did and trying to figure out what they did before you actually get to the interesting part. And I feel like a lot of the journal club I've been to always end up in like, oh, like, I think they did this, and it's a supplementary math at page 32, and they couldn't find it, and then they just say, oh, I think they're stupid, they didn't do this, they didn't think about this. But chances are they likely did and just probably didn't write it in or didn't make it to the paper. And you know, the benefit of a time like this is that all of us are pretty used to Zoom right now. And so if you can really invite that first author, it really provides you a great opportunity to just learn from them firsthand and really have that discussion firsthand if that clarification is needed. So I think we definitely encourage more for you to reach out to the first authors, and also I think that will also, you know, eventually, now having been independent for 2 years, and I think you think about it a lot when you're starting to publish and things like that too. There's only so many people in the field that review papers, that review grants, that get introduce each other to different kind of jobs. So I feel like this kind of scientific communication exchange is really fruitful, and definitely learning from the first author a lot of times is pretty fun. And you got to read that paper somehow anyways, right? So sometimes I think it's a fast way to read the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's definitely like Jerry said, if you curate a few speakers whose paper you're interested in, then you're really reading the paper deeper and having a more interactive way of that mini review with those authors directly. And we have a lot of instances where even between the authors, they have very interesting discussions because they work on similar topics, but they may encounter similar things or different things that sparks interesting discussions.
Thanks so much for setting this up, guys. If we had an idea for a journal club, should we just get in contact with one of you directly, or?
Yeah, so I think what we will do is we will share the Google Drive with all of you guys, and that also has this PowerPoint, and that includes the email template. So, you know, from our experience, I think, you know, the ideal world, you email the 3 speakers you love the most and they all say yes. Doesn't always happen for obvious reasons. People have different circumstances. People are busy, et cetera, et cetera. But I think now we're getting more and more success because the platform has built up quite a bit, and we have much more attendees. You can easily say, you know, this regularly has 50 to 100 attendees. People normally like to share their work. If you ask like 5 people, you know, 3 of them will say yes. So hopefully, once we share the Google Drive and with this presentation by Jerry, it will be clear enough. But if not, you can always reach out to us. You know, as you can see, we have our social media account. We have our Gmail. And I guess if you happen to know either one of us directly, you can also contact us.
Yep.
Right. Jerry, do you have anything to add, or Eugenio, do you guys have other things to add?
No.
Is there any specific part that do you feel like, even with the things in the Google Drive, which has the email template, the poster template, all the things we went through are still a little less clear that we can help clarify?
Yeah, for our email templates, we not only have the first invitation email, but also have the follow-up email templates that will be you can use to schedule the date, to ask for speaker information and other things. So we have actually 4 email templates in that file. any other comments, ideas?
Yes, I will have just two brief comments. We will try to have like really like the dates in our web page. We have like a calendar where we have the dates for future symposium, so you can look out the abilities of like the days that could be possible for your symposium. So you try not to, like to having really we try not to have like really symposiums like one day after the other, so you can somehow plan in advance your symposiums. And also, as my recommendation, you can also add in in the email a picture or of our last flyer, so people actually believe or see that we're having several topics of science and really good speakers. So yeah, that will be my comments.
Well, I think if that's most of the question, I think why don't we